even though you are aware about the basic programming constructs, but it's always better to have a quick revision on the same. In this video, we are going to cover about data types, variables, operators, if-else, switch case, for, while, do while and arrays. This will be a quick revision and a brush up sessions on these topics. If you are already aware about this, you can skip this video and go on to the next video in the same playlist. So let's get started. Last video we covered the installation of Eclipse. We also created a simple program and saw that output was printed on the console. So we know that in Java we create a class with a name. The file name is the same name as the class name, that is public. We have a main method from where the program execution starts. We have a println statement which prints the output in the console. If you write this and if I suppose remove ln, and I say welcome, and if I write one more sysout, in that case and I say bye, and if I run this program, you would see it prints hello world, then it prints welcome on the next screen because println takes the cursor to the next line. Welcome, there's no space because we don't have space after welcome, and because it is print, the cursor doesn't goes on the next line, rather it stays on the same line, and bye is also printed on the same line. So println prints the statement, takes the cursor on the next line, print will print the statement and keep the cursor on the same line. System.out.println was used to print the statements on the console. If you want to take input from the user, we take the scanner class. So we have scanner, it has to be from the package java.util. We create the object of the class, and because we want to read from the system's console, we create the object providing system.in. You want to read a number, so suppose I say enter a number and int n1 is equals to sc.nextInt. Now we know that we can create variables and the variables have a certain types. So Java provides with 8 data types. So to list them, we have byte, we have char, we have short, int, long, float, double and Boolean. There is also something called as void, that is not a data type but it means no type or nothing. We will see that a bit later. So byte, char, short, int, long, float, double and Boolean. We need to create a variables, we declare a variable. Again you have to follow the variable naming rules. So the variable naming rule says that a variable can start with alphabet, it cannot start with a number, it can start with an underscore, it cannot start with any other symbol, not even star, it cannot start with a number, it can start with lowercase or uppercase, both of them are allowed. It can contain number, it can contain variable, it can contain underscore, it can even contain a dollar sign, or it can even start with dollar. The variable name cannot be a keyword, so I cannot say int float. So this float is not a variable, you cannot do that because float is already a predefined keyword, right? So we have to follow the variable naming convention. So declare a variable followed by the type. I want to take the input from the user, sc is equals to next int. This statement means you declare and initialize the variable in a single line by taking the input from the user. You can also declare a variable and you can input some value. Say for example, I can say sum is equals to 0 or sum equals to 10, or you can store any value of integer type. If you want to create a character variable, you will be saying char followed by the variable name followed by assigning a value. To assign a value, we use single quotes, and say for example I say y, n or any alphabet. I can even add a number, I can even add a symbol, but remember it has to be a single character. So I cannot say 10, this is not allowed, it has to be a single character. So we can store characters, we can create integers, and same way we can go for all other data types that's available. You want to store for Boolean, so suppose I say Boolean choice is equals to, either you can store true or you can store the value as false, and it can have either of the one value, true or false. You want to create a value of type double, so I can say double d1 is equals to 12.23, and that's totally fine. I don't need to have anything else. This is how you create variables. To take the input, you create a scanner object and you say enter a number, and you are able to take the input from the user. Say for example, I want to print the square of the number entered by the user, so I can say in double quotes square of. Now because square of is a statement that I want to print as it is, I put in double quotes. Then I want to say for example square of n1, right, and I want to say square of n1 is equals to, and then I would say square of n1 is equals to n1 into n1. If I do this and if I run the program, you would see it waits. It asks, you can see it's running red. It asks me to enter a number. I say 10. You can see it prints square of 10 is equals to 100. But don't you think it prints in separate lines? How about I could write square of 10 is equals to 100 in a single line? I've increased the font. I guess it should be visible. Now, if I want to write these all statements in one line, okay. So, what I want to do, I want to write this. So, in double quotes, I want to write as it is. Then I want to print the value in the variable. Because it's a variable, if I write in the quotes, it will print n1 as it is. See, if I run and if I enter a number 2, you can see square of n1. What I want, square of 2. So, I wanted to print the value of n1 and not the n1 text as it is. So, I can say square of, we use the plus sign, n1, again the plus sign, double quotes because I want to print equal to, and I can say n1 into n1. Then I don't need to write these separate lines. I can just write in a single line, and if I run now, you can see I enter the value 3, square of 3 is equals to 9. So, if you want to print variables, values in a variable and the text, you can use the plus sign for concatenation. If you want to take a string as an input, so say for example, I can say enter your name, right? You want to take the name as an input, so we'll have string with a capital S, remember that, is equals to sc dot next. And then suppose I want to print welcome and I want to print the name. I run, I enter a number, I enter my name, that is Shalini, and it prints welcome Shalini. So this is how you declare variables. You take the input from the user, you print the output using this system.out.println, and I'm also able to concatenate the text and the variables. Then you have something called as operators in Java. So we have various different types of operators like unary, binary, and we have the ternary operators. Unary operators, for example, we have plus, plus, minus, minus. Those are post increment, pre increment, post decrement, pre decrement. Binary operators, we have plus, minus, multiplication, division, mod, which are nothing but the arithmetic operators. Then you have less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, equal to, and not equal to, which are relational or comparison operators. Then we have and or, which are logical operators. And then we have single and, single or, and we have the XOR, which are nothing but the bitwise operators. Ternary operators have a syntax as question mark and colon. So when we talk about, say for example, the unary operators, they are called as unary first of all because they require single operand. Secondly, unary operators usually modify the value of the operand they are being used. Now what does this mean? Say for example, I have a variable m is equals to 10. I say m plus plus. So you can see plus plus is a unary operator. Because I am putting plus plus after m, it is post increment. And if I now print the value of m and say for example, I do this. See, it prints the value of m as 11 because unary operator works on single operand and they modify the value of the operand that they are working upon, I can say. Instead of being used, I can say that they are working upon. It will make more sense, right? Now, there is a post increment and then we also have a pre increment. So, if I do this and if I run the program again, let me comment these out. So you can see still I get m is equals to 11. Then what's the difference when I say post and print? So see, to see the difference, see if I say int x is equals to plus plus m, and if I print the value of m and if I print the value of x, okay, see the value of m is 11 and the value of x is also 11. But if I remove this plus plus and I put it afterwards, this means I first store the value of m in x. So this is read as, I can say int x is equals to m and m is equals to m plus 1. So x will have a value of m that is 10 and m will then be incremented later. Previously when it was pre-incremented, this reverses. So I increment the value of m first and then I store the incremented value of m in x. So we have these pre-increment and post-increment, and the same rule goes for the decrement operators depending upon whether you use pre or whether you use the post-decrement. They also decrease the value of a variable by 1. And increment always increases the value of a variable by 1. Next, then we have binary operators where we have the plus, minus, multiplication, division. They are simple, so I can say 2 plus 3 and 2 into 3. I say 2 minus 3, I say 2 divided by 3 and I can say 2 mod 3. So we know that division gives me the quotient and mod gives me the remainder. So remember that that's the only difference between the plus, minus, multiplication, division and mod. Then from the binary operators, then we have this relational or comparison operators. So if I want to compare between say two prices, or if I want to say compare and check whether the login name is correct or not, username is correct or not, you want to check if a person's age is within the criteria or not, then in those scenarios you may use the relational operators and they are again simple. So I can say for example 2 greater than 3, 2 less than 3, greater than equal to 3, less than equal to 3, equal to 3, and then we have not equal to 3. So if I run these, you would see that 2 plus 3 prints 5, 2 into 3 prints 6, 2 minus 3 is minus 1, 2 divided by 3 because quotient is 0, 2 mod 3 because the remainder is 2. Now here 2 greater than 3 false, less than true, greater than equal to 3 false, 2 equal to 3 true, false, to not equal to 3 true, and this should be ideally less than equal to 3. So this less than equal to is basically as less than or equal to. And then we have the operators, that is the logical operators, which basically compares two conditions and returns true and false. I want to check if 25 is divisible by 2 and 5, or I want to check with 2 or 5. So then I can write the syntax as sys out 25 divisible by 5, we check the remainder as 0, and 25 mod 2 equal to 0. Same way, if you want to check for OR, you will have the OR sign and will check whether 25 is divisible by 5 or divisible by 2. So AND checks if both the conditions are true and returns true. So you can say it returns false, or returns true if any one of the condition is true and this condition is true, hence we get the output as true. Then we have the last types of binary operator, which is called as a bitwise operator. Bitwise operators basically works on binary values and returns the decimal equivalent. So if I say 5 and 7, 5 or 7, and if I say 5 XOR 7. Okay, so 5 and 7, so for 5 equivalent binary is 101, and I am saying and 7 equivalent binary is 111, and when we apply the operator and for bitwise binary, and we get the answer as 101, which is equal to 5. For here, if you would see 101 or 111, for OR operator the result is 111, which is equal to 7. For the XOR operator we have 101 XOR 111, so we get the answer 010, which is equals to 2. So if I run this, we have 5, 7 and 2. So this is how you use the bitwise operators. Then the last one is basically the ternary operators. Now ternary operators have the symbol question mark and colon. They are basically used for conditional checking. So say for example, I have a variable age where I want to check if the age is greater than equal to 18 or not for some eligibility criteria. Say for example, you want to check if a particular child is eligible to watch a certain movie whose rating is supposed to be for a child greater than 18, or say for example driving license or voting. In those scenarios, we need to check if the age falls under the criteria to be eligible. So then my condition is age should be greater than equal to 18, right? Is this true? Yes. So I can say it's eligible, or I can say else not eligible based on your requirement. And then I can store this result in a variable and we can just print ANS. So you would see, because the value of age is 20, which is indeed, this condition is true. For true, the part after the true evaluates, it returns eligible. If I say change the age to 2, now this time this condition is false because the age is 2, which is not true. For not true, the else part executes and you can see it prints not eligible. Okay, so these are about with respect to the unary, binary and the ternary operators. To understand the next concept, let's create a new file and I'll give it a name as conditional demo, again with a main method within it. Now we saw that we can use ternary operators to check for conditions, but again this has a limitation because after the ternary operators you can write only one statement to execute. What about if in your condition you want to check and then you want to be able to write multiple statements, and that is where the if else construct comes into picture. So say for example, again the same thing, I'll take the age and maybe we can say dot in and dot next int. I got the age. Now the same thing, we need to check for the age greater than equal to 18. If this is true, so we have a keyword if. This is true followed by curly brace, and within this curly brace we write for when this condition is true. So say for example I can say sysout enter name. You can write the code for enter the input from the user. You can take the name, address, email ID, phone number, whatever information you need. If the candidate is eligible to vote or candidate is eligible to watch a movie, you want to sell tickets or whatever it is, and then you can write, and suppose I can print then yes you eligible. Right? If this condition is false, you would want to write the else, so I can say else and I can say not eligible, right? So we can write the if block, we can write the else block, and we can check if this condition is true. So the way in the ternary operators, this evaluates if the condition is true after the question mark. Same way this block evaluates only if the condition is true. Otherwise, the else block evaluates for the false condition. So if I run this, you would see it waits for me to enter an input. I say 20 and you can see enter name and yes you eligible. If I run it again and if I now say enter 12, it says not eligible. Just few things to note about if else is, see when you say if and after if you don't have curly braces. So curly brackets are optional, but then only one statement can follow after the if. It becomes same as the ternary operator, that after the if only one statement follows, and you will see over here it says syntax error on the token else, delete this token. Why? Because there are no curly braces. If this condition is true, this statement executes, and this statement is neither a part of if, this statement neither belongs to else. So see, if I show you, let me comment this out, and if I run, if I enter the age as 20, true, it prints enter name, yes you eligible. I run it again, I enter the value as 12. Now this is false, right? So this condition will be false. I haven't handled for the else, that is the false condition. If I run, it still prints yes you eligible, because without curly braces the statement immediately after the if condition is a part of the if. So this is one block of code that executes for the condition that's true, and this statement executes irrespective if the condition is true. Hence, when you put else after the if without the curly braces, and after if you have more than one statement, either you put curly braces, or if you are not putting the curly brace, then you can put only one statement after the if. Same goes with the else block as well. If you don't want to put the curly brace because else executes a single statement, you can choose not to have the curly braces. That's it. Now you don't get the compile time errors. If I run the code again, and if now I enter the value as 20, it prints enter name, because that's what I have it over here. If I run it again and if I enter 12, now it prints not eligible. Correct? So this is how the if else construct works. Now there is also something called as nested if else. Now what this nested if else does is, say for example I want to check for the condition if a year is a leap year or not. So I check for the condition that year, okay, it should be divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100. It's a leap year. So say for example 1996 is a leap year. Now if a year is divisible by 4 and if a year is divisible by 100, it has to be divisible by 400. So example is 2000. Okay. If a year is divisible by 4 and year divisible by 100, then but year not divisible by 400, it is not a leap year. The example is 1900. So every 400th year is not a leap year. So this is a leap year, yes. This is a leap year, yes. This is a leap year, No. So to implement this logic, see, the first condition will be, again I'll take the input, that is year. So let me do this. Next int, you can write a systematic message. It becomes convenient, so I can say enter year and if. Okay, so year divisible by 4. So we'll check year divisible by 4. That's how we check for divisibility. Now, year should not be divisible by 100. So I'll say and year divisible by 100 not equal to 0. Right? Then I can say that it's a leap year. Same way, I can write else if year divisible by 4, year divisible by 100, then year has to be divisible by 400. It's a leap year. If year divisible by 4 and year divisible by 100 and year divisible by 400, I say not equal to 0, it's not divisible, then it's not a leap year, else definitely it's not a leap year. Take your time, pause the video for a moment, go through the conditions once again. Year divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100, leap year. Year divisible by 4, divisible by 100 and year divisible by 400, leap year. Divisible by 4, divisible by 100 but not divisible by 400, not a leap year. And if none of the conditions are true, then here again the else is compulsory. Now we need a if, else if because either of the one will be true, not all of them can be true, right? Hence we need the else if, and this is called as the nested if else construct. Now there is a small assignment for you over here. What I want you to do is, okay, let me first run this and show you. So I enter a number, I enter a year, 2000, leap year. 1996, leap year. 1900, not a leap year. I run again. 1995, not a leap year, right? So this program is working correct. What I want you to try is, I have so many if else if, and you can see I'm writing this repeatedly. What I want you to do is, if you can, then modify these 4 lines of code and using the logical and relational operators, okay, try to reduce if else if constructs, and you can do that. So give me the solution in the comment section below and let's see how many of you are able to write the concise code of calculating whether a year is a leap year or not. Now say for example you are creating a game which requires to toss a coin. Okay, now we know that when you toss a coin, there are 2 possible values, heads or tails. So say for example, I write a program wherein I say enter 1 for heads, okay, and I can say /n, that's again escape sequence. So /n will actually put a new line. Remember, this has to be a single character without any space. The moment you put a space, it's an error. So slash followed by a single character is called as an escape sequence. So escape sequences are nothing but special characters which can be used within the string to perform some specific operations. So like for example, to put a break, a new line between these two. Now once I do this, I can say int choice is equals to sc.nextInt. Now see, it's pretty much simple. You would be saying if choice equal to 1, because at a time either the heads or the tails will be selected and there are only 2 possible options, 1 or 2. So I say if it's 1, maybe say if the choice was 1 when I toss the coin, and if it was heads and player 1 chose heads, so I can say player 1 wins or wins the toss, right? And Otherwise, I can say else if choice is equal to 2. That means the player 2 wins the toss, right? So I can say, and sometimes it happens when you roll a when you toss a coin, sometimes it happens that the coin lands horizontally. I'm going to say on its edges, right? So in those scenarios, or on its circumference, in those scenarios I would want to say roll the sorry, I would say toss the coin again. Now it's fine, you can use if else, and specifically you can write it, no issues about it. Again over here, if one statement, the curly braces are optional, but it's totally fine, there are no issues with it. If this seems convenient to put curly braces, you can definitely use curly braces as well. Right now, when I do this, when I run the program, so you would see that I enter a number, I enter some year, I enter 1 or 2, I say 1, it says player 1 wins the toss. It's totally fine, and I can do using if else. But whenever you have just exact equality comparison and I'm checking for a single value, in those scenarios switch becomes a convenient syntax. So I can say switch. I want to switch between the values coming in the variable choice. Now the value in the choice may be 1, so I can say case followed by space followed by the value, and again your curly braces are optional. Then here again I can say case 2 colon player 2 wins. Now for this else, that is for the default case, then I have a keyword default. Now with this, if I run the program again, I say 1. See, it prints player 1 wins the toss, but it also prints player 2 wins the toss and toss the coin again. What I wanted is, when I toss the coin, if it's heads, I should just say player 1 wins the toss and my control should come out of the switch block. For that, then you should write break. So I can say break, I can say break, and I can say break. Again, curly braces are optional. It's totally fine if you write it or not. Whatever follows after the case is a part of that particular case. There can be more than one statement. There are no rules as if else that after if there are more than one statement, put curly braces. No, you can choose to not put a curly brace and still you can choose to write multiple statements. So here we have two statements. Now for the same program, if I run and if I say 1, you can see it prints player 1 wins the toss and then my control comes out of the switch block because I have said break. If you don't put a break, then all the cases followed by the case which is true executes, hence it's called as fall through. So if suppose case 2 was true and if I don't have a break, in that scenario this statement executes and all the cases followed by this case also execute. Hence it is also called as fall through. That's it. That's all about the switch case and the way you write. Now the next programming construct that is of importance is loops. Loops are again something that goes again and again, right? So I can say, for example, loop demo. Now say I want to take 5 numbers as input from the user and I want to find the maximum of the 5 numbers entered. So again I'll say scanner, okay, and I can say, suppose I take the first number, so int n1 equals to sc dot next int, and I can say sysout enter first number, right? Now what I want to do, I want to find the maximum of 5 numbers entered. So say the 5 numbers entered by the user is, first is 12, 8, 20, 100 and 90. So the max is 100. So I got the first value. I want to find the max. What can I do? I can create a variable and I can store the first value in max. Now, how many numbers I want to take as input? 4 numbers, because I've already taken the first number as input. I want to take 4 numbers as input. I can definitely write this 4 times. So I can say enter second number. I take again the number as input. I don't need to declare it again. I have declared it once. Then I would be writing if max is less than n1, then your max should be n1 because we want the maximum, right? Again, you will end up writing the same statements. How many times? First number, second number, third number, fourth number, and fifth number. So can't you see these 3 statements are repeated, and if I print max is and I say max, okay, if I run, see, I enter the first number 12, 8, 20, 100, 90. I got the max, that is 100. It works fine. What about if I want to take 10 numbers, 20 numbers, 100, 500, 5000? Don't you think it's tedious to write these statements? And if you would notice, these are the statements. So from this to this are the statements repeated again and again. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I want something that runs 4 times, right? So I can say, for example, I have a variable int I is equals to 1. What I want that until the time this value of I is less than equal to 4. Till the time it is less than equal to 4, I want it to repeat these steps. And I don't need these again and again. I can say I is 1, less than equal to 4, true, do this. Take the input, verify. Again what I want, that means now my I should increase, right? It was 1. If I just do this, it will be infinite because I is 1 and 1 is less than equal to 4, true. Now I cannot use if over here because if I use if, then if will run only one time. I want this block to continue again and again till the time my I doesn't reaches 5. Because only when my I is 5 less than equal to 4 is false, then this block should stop execution. So I can see while. So while my I is less than equal to 4, true, continue this, and I can increment the value of I. So see, I can say enter number, I run, I take the first number 12, I enter the next number 8, next number 100, next number 90, next number 150. Can you see max is 150? So again with the loops, I am able to get the same output. So here I am saying while I less than equal to 4 because I have already taken the first value as input. Now the reason I have done this is, see, when you compare, right, you need the first. So even if you don't use Java, normal mental maths to find the max. 12. Is 12 greater than 8? Yes, and max is 12, so 12 is max. Then I got the third number. Then my max previously was 12. I compared 12 with 20. If 20 is greater, now my next highest number is 20. So then in my memory I store 20. Then I compare 20 with 100. Because 100 is greater than 20, my next max number is 100. I don't want 20 because I just want to find the max. I have 100. So same thing I have repeated over here. First value is in the max variable. I cannot say max as 0 because it may happen that all these values are negative numbers. See, if I just say negative, just imagine, then max equal to 0 and 0 will be the highest because all other values, they are negative numbers, they will be less than 0. So what I did, I took the first number as input, stored in the max variable, that is nothing but 12. Now I run this loop 4 times because I already have the first value in the max. I take the next number in N1, which is 8. 12 is less than 8, no, it does nothing, increments the value of I. Takes next number 20. Now N1 is 20, max is 12, 12 less than 20, true, my max becomes 20. I increment the value of I, now the value of I is 3. I take the next number, that is 100, because 100, in the max the value was 20, Less than 100 true, my max becomes 100. I increment the value of I and so on till my I reaches 5. This is how you can use the while loop. You can convert the same while loop using the for loop, saying for. Now for syntaxes, it takes 3 parameters: int I equals to 1, declaration, I less than equal to 4, semicolon, I plus plus. And then the same things I can write here as well. Just I don't need the I plus plus because it's being done over here. Okay, and say I comment this out, and if I show you, let me bring this here. See, even if I do with the for, and the first number 100, 140, 12, 180 and 150. See, so max is 180. So again the same syntax using while. Remember that while takes only one condition, only one parameter. For takes 3 parameters, that is declaration, condition and the increment. Again there are various variations of for. So I will be providing you with a link in the description where there is a dedicated video which explains about the different variations that you can have in a for loop. So you can check out that video. This is all about with respect to loops, that we have while loop, we have for loop, and we have one more loop that is called as a do while loop. Now the difference in while and for is I know for certain how many times a loop will run. But with the while, is advantageous to use when you don't know how many times a loop will run, because it's uncertain. It all depends upon the number of items or number of times it takes for me to reach to a condition. That's where you use the while loop. Same way it's for the do while loop as well. So again, if I write for do while loop, say I say in sum equal to 0. I want to take the input from the user. Again the same thing. So I'll say enter number, and whatever number is entered I just want to add. So I'll say sum plus n1. Okay. Now I want to continue this while my user enters the value. So say for example here I can declare a variable. I can say sysout. I can ask the user, do you want to continue? And I can take an input. Now to take the character input, the syntax is I say next dot char at 0. So this will give me the character, and I can say while ch equal to y. Do you want to continue? Type y for yes or any key to exit. Okay, so I can say, okay, this will not work. So let me just put this here. Okay, and semicolon. So I say do while my ch is y, continue taking the number, find the sum, and the moment my user says I don't want any numbers, I can say sum is, and I can print the sum. Okay, enter a number 8. Do you want to continue? Yes. Sorry, this is capital Y, right? This should be small y. Or if you want to take it for both, you can write while ch equal to capital Y. So this will work for both of them. Yes, enter a number. Yes, enter a number. No, you can see 12 plus 45 plus 7 should give you 64. So this is how you can use the do while loops. Now the last concept in the brush up sessions for our Java, so that we can start with classes, so that is arrays. So we have done data types, variables, operators, we did with if else, switch case, for, while, do while, and now last is arrays. The syntax of arrays in Java is arrays can be used to store more than one values. So I can say int numbers and square bracket is equals to, I have to define the size, new int, square bracket 5. Now you want to take the input from the user to initialize the values in the array. Again you can write the for loop, and I can say I 0, because we know that arrays index starts always from 0. So I 0, I less than numbers dot length, because numbers dot length will give me the number of values a variable, an array variable can store, right? So that is 5, numbers dot length is 5, but index starts from 0, so it will be less than 5, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 means there are 5 values. So I will have to say less than, I cannot say less than equal to. And then I want to take the input, so I can say numbers of I is equals to sc dot next int, and of course will require the scanner class. Enter a number. Okay. Now if you want to print the values in the arrays that store, again I can have the for loop, and here then I can just simply say numbers of I. So see, if I run, I enter a number, I enter a number, I enter a number, I enter a number and a number. So the values entered by the user in the arrays are 12, 23, 8, 9, 3. So you can see 12, 23, 8, 9, 3. So once you have this array where the values are stored, then you can iterate over the array and you can calculate. So say for example, I want to calculate the square. So I'll say numbers of I plus, and I want to print the square. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, 5 square and 6 square. So this is a simple syntax of how you can create arrays in Java, and you can initialize using a loop and using the indexing. And if you want to display or work with the values in the array, again you can have a loop which will help you to get the values from the array and you can perform operations. If this seems complicated, then you can definitely store the values in the variables, store the values in the array in a variable, and then you can see this becomes short. So I can just say n into n. And the same thing, because the value in the array is of type integer, so when I retrieve or when I access the value, it is of type integer only. So this is all about with respect to arrays. And say for example, if in this program I want to print those values in the arrays which are prime, right? So I already have this particular loop. So say for example, I do that and I say prime values in the array. Now I'll iterate over this loop and I'll get the values in this variable. Now how do you find the prime number? Say you forget about the array, see we just write the prime number logic using a single variable, and I say int a is equals to, for example, 5. I want to find if 5 is prime or not. Then we can just, for again prime number, I have a dedicated video. The link for the same is in the description. You can check for that of how to calculate to find if a number is prime or not. I'll just do simple and I can say, for example, int count is 0. Now what I'll do, for now we know that any number, every number is divisible by 1 and every number is divisible by itself. So I'll start dividing by 2, and so I'll start from 2 and I'll divide till the square root of the number. I don't have to go till the number or number minus 1 to find if a number is prime or not. If I even go till square root of the number is fine. So I can say j less than, we have a math class which provides me with the function square root, and I can say square root of a and I plus plus. So this loop will run what? 2, and what is square root of 5? Square root of 5 is something 2 point. So that means it goes only till 2, right? And I can actually say int, I can typecast it to int, and then I can say if my a is divisible by j, I will be incrementing the count. So that means the moment my a is divisible, right, I increment the value of count, and actually I can even break the loop, because if my variable is divisible by any other number, right, apart from 1 and itself, that means it's not a prime number. And I can check if my count is 0, then a is prime, because it wasn't divisible, my count didn't increase, that means my number is prime. Else I can say not prime, right? So say for example, for now, let me comment this out, and see 5 is prime. If I suppose enter the value 15, or it should be j less than equal to, right? So if I run, you would see 15 not prime. Say if I take 25, not prime, 23 is prime, right? Now same I want to do in my loop for the array values. So I'll again uncomment all of these. What I want to do, I want to print only those numbers from the arrays which are prime. We already have written the logic for prime. So I'll just copy this, and I have the value here, and I'll print only those values which are basically prime. So see, I iterate over the array, I take the value n, I go till square root of n, right? I say n mod j is 0. If my count is 0, in that case I print n, and then I again loop through. So here you can see, now this is nested loop. So I got first value from the array, I again check if my count increases. If yes, that means it's not a prime number. It will not print those values which are not prime. So if I run this program again, I enter a number 12, 5, 9, 23 and 100. See, only 5 and 23 because that's prime. So then you can have nested loop. You can have for within for within while within for within do while, and in any possible combinations. So that's all for this video. I wanted to cover about the basics of programming constructs that's required for us to go ahead in our Java playlist in this Java course. And see you then in the next video with new concepts in Java. Till then, happy learning, take care, and bye-bye.